Good morning, dear friend. As the first light brushes against the edge of your window, and the hush of dawn holds the world in quiet reverence, I greet you in this sacred hour. Morning has a way of touching our soul differently, does not it? Before the noise returns, before the rush begins, there is this stillness, this softness, this whisper in the air that tells us this moment is holy. Somewhere right now, a woman sits on the edge of her bed with her hands trembling in her lap. Her eyes are red from another sleepless night. Her heart feels too heavy for her chest to carry. Maybe she just lost someone. Maybe she is waiting on test results. Maybe her soul is tired of pretending she is fine. And in that quiet room, with the morning sun peeking through worn-out curtains, she wonders if anyone sees her, if God sees her. She does not want grand answers. She just wants to know she is not alone. Elsewhere, a man stares at the ceiling while the world outside stretches awake. Bills on the kitchen table, a job he might lose, a family he feels he is failing. He does not have the words to pray anymore, but something inside him aches for peace, something real, something more than momentary escape. Maybe this morning, it is you. Maybe you are here, not because everything is perfect, because something inside you longs for more than what the world has handed you. You are tired of carrying the weight of yesterday into today. You are tired of smiling while your spirit is barely breathing. And maybe, just maybe, you are ready for something deeper. Let me tell you, friend, this quiet moment before the sun fully rises is not just another part of the day. It is an invitation, a window into eternity disguised as a few fragile minutes of stillness. And what if this morning is not random? What if God has been waiting here, right now, for you to pause, to listen, to open the door just a little wider? The truth is, prayer is not performance. It is not reciting perfect words in the perfect way. Prayer is the language of the soul reaching for the divine. It is the wounded heart whispering for healing. It is the restless mind longing for peace. It is the heavy spirit daring to hope again. Prayer is not what you say. It is who you become while you are saying it. And faith, faith is not pretending you are never scared. Faith is choosing to believe in the middle of fear. It is waking up and saying, even if I do not know what this day holds, I believe the one who holds me does. It is lifting your head when everything else says stay down. It is opening your hands when all you want to do is clench your fists. Faith is not about strength. It is about surrender. So before we take another step, before we whisper another word, I want to invite you into something deeper than inspiration. I want to invite you into conversation, not with me, but with the God who formed your soul, the one who knows your name, the one who has seen every tear and heard every sigh. This is not a monologue. This is a meeting. This is not performance. This is presence. You do not have to come perfectly. You just have to come honestly. So take a breath. Let the morning light meet you just as you are. Open your heart not to impress God, but to invite Him. Make space for Him not just in this moment, but in your thinking, your breathing, your being. Because when you make room for Him, He does not just visit. He dwells. He strengthens. He speaks, and He transforms. Let us begin. Dear Heavenly Father, this morning I come to you with no ceremony, no pretense, just a quiet soul sitting in the stillness. The world outside is beginning to stir, but inside, something feels tired. There is a weight I cannot name, a silence I cannot shake. I do not come with answers today. I come with longing. I come with an ache for something more than the noise I carry in my chest. The kind of ache that settles in the heart when nothing else seems to fit anymore. When the things that once gave meaning have grown quiet. When the smiles feel a little too practiced and the laughter comes too far apart. I come as I am, and that is all I know how to bring. I do not know if my heart is ready, but it is honest. I am not strong this morning, but I am here, and maybe that is enough. I bring you my silence. I bring you my scattered thoughts. I bring you the room in me that feels hollow and unfamiliar. I bring the heavy moments I have kept buried, because I thought you might be tired of hearing them. I bring the fears I do not say aloud because they make me feel small. I bring the awareness that clings to me like fog. I bring all of it to you now. There is a kind of emptiness that does not scream. It just quietly lingers. It walks beside me in the morning light and wraps itself around my words. It shows up in conversations where I laugh too loudly, and in evenings where I stare too long at nothing. It is not despair, but it is not peace either. It is just this space inside me that needs to be filled with something true. Something lasting. Something holy. Maybe that something is you, or maybe it has always been you, and I just forgot how to make space for you to come closer. Somewhere along the way, I let other things take over. Worries, tasks, expectations, noise, so much noise. I let fear rent rooms in my mind, and I let doubt plant roots in the corners of my belief. I did not mean to push you out. I just stopped noticing how full everything had become. But now I do, and I want to make room. Not just a little corner, but real space. Not just for you to visit, but for you to stay. I want you to be more than a part of my mornings. I want you to be the breath in them, the stillness in the chaos, the whisper beneath the noise. So here I am, making room the only way I know how. I do not have the words to impress you, but I hope you hear the honesty in my quiet. I hope you see the part of me that is finally willing to stop pretending and start inviting, to stop filling every second with sound and instead sit in this moment with you. I confess I do not always know how to pray. Sometimes it feels like I am just talking into the air. Sometimes it feels like I am reaching for a hand I cannot see, but there is something in me that refuses to let go of the hope that you are near, that you still listen, that you still care. So I begin this day not with strength, but with surrender. I lay down my to-do list. I lay down my inner critic. I lay down the part of me that thinks I need to be whole before I can be held. And instead, I choose to be present. I choose to breathe. I choose to believe that you are already here, waiting in the quiet for me to notice you. There is no grand gesture in this prayer, only an open door, only a heart that is tired of being full of everything but peace. A soul that is ready to be known again, to be softened again, to be stilled. I do not ask you to fix everything this morning. I simply ask you to sit with me in it, to draw near in the places I have tried to handle on my own, to see me in the shadows I have learned to ignore, to gently move into the spaces where I have forgotten what tenderness feels like. Meet me here, in this early hour when the sky still holds its breath and the world has not yet shouted its demands. Meet me where my defenses are low and my spirit is open. I may not have much to offer, but I bring what is real. I bring what is raw. I bring the truest parts of me that long to be seen by someone who will not turn away. If there is healing, let it begin here. If there is peace, let it enter slowly like sunlight on a quiet floor. If there is love, let it wrap around me like morning air. I do not need a flood. I just need a beginning, a sign that you still choose to come close. And if all I do today is return to this space in my soul where you are welcome, then let that be enough. If all I can manage is one whispered breath in your direction, let it matter. Let it hold weight in eternity. You do not need perfection. You ask for presence. You do not demand strength. You honor surrender. So here I am. Not polished. Not prepared. Just present. And I trust that it is enough to begin. Lord, something inside me is stirring now. Something fragile and unshaped but real. As I sit in this quiet, having finally allowed myself to be still, I can feel it rising. It is not loud. Not yet, but it presses against my chest like a wave that has waited too long to break. I thought I had nothing more to say. I thought I was out of words, out of prayers. But there is a cry that has been buried under too many silent mornings and too many practiced smiles. And now, in this moment, it is coming forward. I do not know how to name everything I feel. I only know that you are here and that this space between us is sacred, even if my words are trembling. There are things I have never said out loud. Not because they were untrue, but because I feared they might be too messy to bring into the light. But you are not startled by pain. You are not overwhelmed by sorrow. You are not frightened by the sound of a breaking heart. You stay, even when the H becomes a storm. You remain. So I will let my heart speak now. Not with polished language or careful cadence, but with whatever honesty it has left. I will not try to make it sound beautiful. I will not wrap it in false strength. I will let it cry if it needs to. Let it tremble. Let it whisper or weep. I will let it speak like a child who has been holding back tears and finally feels safe enough to let them fall. There is disappointment that lingers deep within me, not because I doubt you, but because I hoped for something that never came. I waited for a door to open, for healing to come, for someone to stay, and they did not. And though I told myself I had moved on, part of me stayed behind, sitting quietly beside that unanswered moment, wondering what it meant. I bring that here. I do not ask you to explain it. I just ask you to see it. I ask you to hold it. So I no longer have to pretend it does not matter. There are fears I have carried like shadows under my breath, fears of being left behind, of not being enough, of trying my hardest and still falling short. I wake up with them sometimes, woven into my thoughts before I even speak. And yet, I never really tell you how much they weigh on me. I always assumed you had more important things to hear. But if you are the God who knows every hair on my head, then surely you care about the things that keep me up at night. Surely you care about the quiet fears too. There is grief, Father, not always fresh, not always loud, but always present. It shows up in moments I least expect. In smells, in songs, in the quiet in between. I miss things I never got to say. I miss people who never really got to stay. And sometimes, I carry guilt for what I could not control. Sometimes I replay the moments, trying to rewrite the past with better endings. Kinder words, stronger faith, but the past does not change when I press rewind. It only grows heavier. So today, I hand you the weight of what I cannot go back and fix. I offer you the ache that no longer needs fixing. Just holding. There is also tiredness, not just of body but of soul, awareness that no nap seems to touch, a fatigue that sinks deeper than the skin. I do not always know why it lingers, but I feel it in my bones, in my patience, in the way I sometimes stop reaching before I even begin. This is not surrender to you, it is a surrender to discouragement. And I want to bring that to you too, because even if I have stopped expecting joy to find me, I believe you can still find me in my quiet despair. And in all this, Lord, I feel you close, not with thunder or fire, but with something far gentler, with the kind of nearness that does not need to speak to be known, with the kind of presence that wraps itself around pain like a warm blanket and lets it breathe without shame. You are not rushing me through this moment. You are not asking for polished faith. You are simply waiting for me to be real. So I will be real. If my voice shakes, let it shake. If my tears fall, let them fall. If my heart breaks again as I speak, let it break into your hands, not into isolation. Let me be honest, even if I am unsure what to say next. You are not offended by sorrow. You are not confused by sadness. You are not put off by the mess of it all. You are the God who meets me in my depth, not just in my devotion. So this is where I begin again, not with answers, but with honesty, not with strength, but with surrender. I open the door wider now. I open the drawers where the old pain lives. I unlock the corners I never thought you wanted to enter. I bring you not just the rooms I have cleaned up, but the ones I have closed off for years. I bring you the hidden thoughts, the quiet questions, the anger I tried to swallow because I did not want to sound ungrateful. I bring it all, because if I believe you love me, then I must believe you can hold every part of me, not just the good. Let this morning be holy not because I am perfect, but because I am present. Let it be sacred not because I understand everything, but because I have stopped hiding. Let it be the place where my silence breaks open and my truth finds a voice. I may not shout, I may not sing, but I will not pretend. I will speak, even if it comes slowly. I will weep, Even if it surprises me, I will open, even if I fear what might come out. Because this is not about performance. This is about presence. And I trust that you are still here. Still listening. Still tender. Still good. Father, now that the words have begun to flow, now that I have allowed the ache to speak and the weight to be named, something inside me knows it cannot stay the same. Honesty has cracked open a door, and I sense your invitation not just to speak, but to clear space. Not because you demand perfection, but because you long to dwell more deeply. I see now that even the most sacred rooms of my soul have grown cluttered with things I did not notice piling up. It was slow, unintentional, but it happened. Some things I carry out of habit, others out of fear. Some I have kept simply because I did not know how to let go. And now, in the gentle hush of this morning, I realize I have been making room for everything but you. There are thoughts I replay that lead nowhere, conversations I rehearse that reopen wounds, expectations I cling to that leave me tired and small. I never meant for them to stay this long. I just never paused to ask what they were doing to my soul. I look around the inner room where you have waited, and I see how full it has become. There are boxes stacked high with comparison, drawers filled with disappointments I never properly mourned, shelves lined with assumptions that no longer serve truth, worries scattered like clothing I keep trying on but never seem to outgrow. In the corners, there are fears I told myself were gone, but they only moved deeper in when I was not paying attention. This space was meant for peace, and yet it has been dominated by noise. It was meant to be still, yet I filled it with hurry. It was designed for communion, but I crowded it with control. And now, Lord, I want to clean it out not to earn your love, but to experience more of it, not to prove my devotion, but to make way for deeper connection. I begin with what I can name. I lay down my need to control outcomes. I surrender the illusion that if I think enough, plan enough, anticipate enough, I can avoid the unknown. I acknowledge that control has not protected me. It has only made me tense and distant, even from you. I do not want to keep locking you out of moments you long to guide. I let go of old narratives I have told myself, the ones that say I am too much or not enough, the ones that whisper that I am forgotten or unseen. Those stories have worn grooves in my thinking. They have shaped how I pray, how I hope, how I love. But they are not sacred. They are not true. I will not keep space for what keeps me small. I release comparison. Not just the kind that envies what others have, but the kind that discounts the grace on my own life. The kind that turns blessings into burdens and victories into questions. I do not want to measure my journey by someone else's timeline. I want to move at the pace of peace, not the pressure of performance. I clear out the bitterness that hides behind polite silence, the frustration I swallowed when I felt unheard, the resentment I wrapped in indifference. These things have taken up room that joy should fill, and I am tired of pretending they are harmless. They are not. They have grown roots. But now, in your presence, I let them be uprooted, even if it stings, even if it leaves me feeling bare. There are habits too. Father, patterns I fall into without thinking. The way I reach for distraction when discomfort rises. The way I rush past reflection because it feels too slow. The way I numb pain with productivity. These things crowd my inner life. And I want to make a different choice today. I want stillness to be my first language again. I choose to release the grudges I justified, the pride I protected, the silence I used to punish. I choose to stop carrying stories that are no longer aligned with who you are shaping me to be. I do not want to decorate my walls with old wounds. I want to hang grace like art. I want the air in my soul to be breathable again. I ask you to show me what I am still holding, not to shame me, but to free me, to open the drawers I have kept locked, to gently uncover what I buried. You are kind. You are patient. You do not expose to harm. You reveal to heal. And so, I trust you with this process. I give you access to every part of me. The cluttered, the hidden, the dusty, the broken. I open the rooms I have kept closed for years. I give you permission to move things around, to throw things out, to rearrange, to sweep and cleanse, to make space for something new. This is not a renovation for appearance. It is a restoration for intimacy. I want you to feel welcome again, not just in my worship, but in my awareness. Not just in the words I say, but in the thoughts I keep. Not just in my victories, but in my confusion. I want every part of me to say you belong here. And I know that clearing space will not always feel good. It may stir grief. It may awaken memories. It may make me feel like a stranger in my own soul for a moment. But I believe the discomfort is sacred. I believe the letting go is holy. And I believe what you will build in the empty space will be better than anything I thought I needed. So here, in this morning light, I let my hands open. I do not clutch the past. I do not defend the mess. I do not justify what I know is stealing my peace. I just let it go, one by one, thought by thought, layer by layer. I breathe out the noise. I breathe in your presence, and I trust that you will come. You always do when there is space. Lord, now that I have begun to release what I held too long, something inside me begins to shift. There is a quiet openness I have not felt in so long. And though part of me still fears what I do not understand, the greater part is finally ready to receive. I do not want to just remove what no longer belongs. I want to welcome what has always been missing. I want more than an empty soul. I want a dwelling place, a home where you are not simply allowed but invited, where you are not just present but wanted. This moment feels like an open door, the kind I have walked past too many times before, but not today. Today I pause. I stand in the threshold of something sacred. And I reach for more of you, not just your help, not just your answers, not just the healing I hope you bring. I want you, your voice, your nearness, your peace that reaches places even my own words cannot find. Father, I know that you never force your way in. You wait. You knock, you call softly in the moments when the world is not loud enough to drown you out. And now, In the hush of morning, I hear you. I hear that invitation, not as a command but as a whisper to my soul. A whisper that says you have been waiting not for me to be ready, but for me to be willing. So this is my invitation. Come in. Come close. Come fully. I do not just ask you to walk beside me today. I ask you to take your place within me, in the places I used to fill with distractions, in the parts I used to hide behind perfection, in the silence that once felt heavy but now feels holy. I invite you into every corner, every shadow, every space made clean by the surrender I offered you yesterday. Let my life be more than a place you pass through. Let it be where you stay, where you dwell, where you find rest as I find peace. Let my thoughts become rooms you enjoy entering. Let my choices be furniture that honors your presence. Let my words decorate the walls with grace. I do not want my soul to be a hallway filled with echoes. I want it to be a home filled with you, God. I know now that presence is not about feeling. It is about faith. It is about knowing you are here, even when my emotions are unsure. It is about making space, even when I feel empty. It is about opening the door, even when I cannot predict what will change when you enter. Because something will. It always does. When you walk into a room, you bring more than comfort. You bring alignment. You bring clarity. You bring conviction not to shame, but to set things right. You bring softness where my heart grew hard. You bring stillness to the storms I thought I had to survive alone. And you bring a kind of holy quiet that silences every anxious thought. So come in, sit with me in the ordinary. Let your peace settle in the space where fear once lived. Let your light stretch into corners I did not even know needed it. Be the first voice I hear and the last thought I hold. Be not just my hope in crisis, but my joy in the routine. Be not just my refuge, but my rhythm. I want to stop living like your presence is occasional, like I can only experience you in sacred places or during scheduled prayers. I want my entire life to be sacred. I want my soul to be so aware of you that even the smallest things become communion. I want to invite you into moments so simple they might seem invisible to anyone else but to you. They are everything. When I rise and dress and pour coffee, when I answer messages or walk down the hall, when I laugh, when I breathe. Let all of it be invitation. Let it be layered with the awareness that you are here. Not visiting, not distant, but right here closer than every breath. And if I forget, remind me, not with thunder, but with gentleness. If I drift into hurry, call me back with quiet nudges. If I begin to fill the space again with things that numb instead of nourish, reach for me with mercy. I do not want to build my life on empty motion. I want to be moved by the gravity of your nearness. I do not come to you with grand declarations this morning, only with the kind of hunger that has outgrown noise, the kind of longing that is no longer satisfied with moments. I do not want another touch. I want habitation. I want to carry you with me, not in part, but in fullness. If I make room, I believe you will fill it, not with everything I ask, but with everything I need, not with answers, but with presence, not with ease, but with strength. I trust that you do not come empty-handed. You bring restoration. You bring truth. You bring reminders of who I am when I have forgotten again. So I prepare the table now, not just of my home, but of my spirit. I pull out the chair and leave it open. I clear the noise and light the candle. I do not know what today holds, but I know who I want to share it with. I do not know what will be asked of me, but I know where I want to draw my strength. I want to wake to you and walk with you, and end the day with you still near. I want to stop compartmentalizing sacredness. I want to live as though every breath is holy, as though every step can be accompanied by your whisper, as though nothing is too ordinary for divine presence. You are welcome here not just for what you can do, but for who you are, not for the blessings you give, but for the peace you bring, not as a guest, but as the one who belongs, the one who built this soul and called it good, the one who shaped this heart and called it yours. So this is the invitation. Come in, Lord. Stay. Take what is yours and fill it with what I could never create on my own. Make this morning more than a routine. Make it the moment you find a home again. Right here, in the quiet center of my life. Father, when I said you were welcome here, I meant every word. And now, as I sit in this quiet that no longer feels empty, I sense the first flicker of light breaking through. It is not loud. It is not sudden, but it is sure. And maybe that is how you come when you are invited, not crashing in with fanfare, but entering gently, like morning sunlight that creeps across the floor until the whole room begins to glow. This is not a spotlight, not a performance. This is the kind of light that reveals without condemning, the kind that says, I see you, and I am staying. I have carried so much in the dark, without even realizing it. Thoughts I never questioned, lies I grew used to, sadness I called normal. They lived inside me like permanent tenants. But now, as light enters, I see them clearly. And the beautiful thing is that I do not feel exposed. I feel seen, not with shame, but with mercy. There is something about your light, God, that changes the room. It does not need to push anything aside. It simply arrives. And in its presence, shadows lose their power. The quiet parts of me that once felt confused now feel safe enough to speak. The corners that once held fear now begin to soften. I never knew how much I longed for clarity until it started to come. And now, I crave more of it, not to know all the answers, but to simply see what matters. So let there be light in my thoughts, in my intentions, in the stories I have told myself and the ones I have told others. Let light fall on the places I have left unfinished, the dreams I have buried, the gifts I have hidden, the parts of me that still do not believe they are worthy being used. Let light find every space that once settled for darkness, not just sin, but sorrow, not just guilt, but grief, not just rebellion, but resignation. You are not just the God who illuminates paths. You are the God who brings morning to souls. You speak into the deepest parts of who I am and call them awake. You breathe on what has gone quiet. You stir what has gone still. I hear it now. this subtle calling in my spirit, not loud, but steady. It is the invitation to rise, not just from sleep, but from slumbering faith, from survival mode faith, from half-hearted worship and distracted prayer. I want to awaken to you, not just with my body, but with my being. I want to live aware again, to see with new eyes and hear with new ears. I want to recognize your nearness in moments I once rushed past. I want to walk through this day with the kind of inner clarity that cannot be shaken by external chaos. Because light does not stop the world from being messy. It just gives me vision to move through it with peace. Shine into the places I have ignored. Show me what I need to see, not for the sake of analysis, but for the sake of healing. Not so I can control more, but so I can release more. I want to understand the things I carry, not to justify them, but to surrender them. Let light reach into every motive, every pattern, every unspoken vow I have made to protect myself from hurt. Let it expose the roots so gently that I am not afraid to pull them up. Even now, I can feel something changing, a warmth rising in the places that once felt numb, a softness returning to where I had built walls. Maybe this is what it means to begin again, not with force, but with light, not with striving, but with presence. Maybe this is how you always begin your work in us, like a sunrise that refuses to be rushed yet never fails to arrive. So I sit in this moment, still and unhurried. I do not want to rush past what you are doing just to chase what comes next. This is the beginning, and I do not want to miss it. There is something sacred about the slow dawning of truth, about the way you reveal just enough to take one step, and then another. I do not need to see the entire horizon. I only need to see the next thing you are showing me. And if that light leads me into something unfamiliar, I will trust that you go with me. If it reveals something painful, I will trust that you do not reveal what you are not willing to heal. If it calls me out of something comfortable, I will believe that what lies ahead is more aligned with the person you are shaping me to become. Let there be light in how I see others. Let me see past behavior and into the heart. Let me respond not with judgment, but with gentleness. Let me notice the unspoken sadness in someone's eyes and choose to care instead of turning away. Let your light not just rest on me, but reflect through me. Let it become part of how I carry myself, how I speak, how I pause, how I listen. Let there be light in how I view myself. For too long I have looked at my reflection through broken lenses. I have highlighted flaws and downplayed grace. I have repeated the harsh words of the past instead of the truth you whisper in the present. But if your light is here, then it is time for a new lens. It is time to see myself not through the eyes of fear or failure, but through the eyes of love. And let there be light in the spaces I share with others. Let my home be filled with it, not just physically, but spiritually. Let the conversations I have today carry brightness instead of burden. Let my presence be a reminder to someone that hope still lives, that kindness still matters, that God still shows up in ordinary moments with extraordinary gentleness. This is not just morning outside. This is morning within, and I welcome it fully. I welcome what it reveals and what it transforms. I open every window in my heart and let your light fill it all. I know it will change me. I know it already is, and I trust you with that change. You are not here to blind me. You are here to guide me. You are not here to overwhelm. You are here to awaken. And this is what I needed all along, not a new routine, but a new light, not a better plan, but a better perspective, one shaped by truth, one anchored in peace, one rooted in the reality that you are already here, and that wherever your light shines, new life begins. Father, as your light continues to settle in the places I have opened, I begin to see not just what needs to be healed, but what needs to be released. Not just clutter in my thoughts or fear in the corners, but something deeper, something heavier. There are places where bitterness still lingers, quiet but present, like dust that resettles no matter how many times I sweep. And now, with the clarity your presence brings, I recognize it for what it is: a weight I have carried, a door I have kept half closed, a wound I keep checking, even when it pretends to be scarred over. Forgiveness. The word alone stirs something deep. Not just the idea of being forgiven by you, which I so desperately need, but the act of forgiving others and myself. It is not always loud. It is not always wrapped in emotion. Sometimes it just waits in silence, asking to be chosen again until freedom fully comes. I confess that some of what I carry is old, words that were never apologized for, actions that never made sense, distance that grew without warning. There are moments I still revisit in the quiet, trying to understand how they unraveled. And in those memories, I sometimes find myself holding tight to what hurt me, as if by gripping it, I can make it matter more, as if by keeping it close, I am protecting something. But all I have really done is prolong the H. And still, you are gentle. You do not demand that I forget. You do not shame me for what I feel. Instead, you invite me to let go, not to erase the pain, but to stop letting it rule the parts of me you are trying to restore. You show me that forgiveness is not about pretending something did not matter. It is about choosing that it will not control what happens next. Lord, I need help forgiving, not because I do not want to, but because part of me does not know how. I want justice. I want acknowledgement. I want the other person to know what they did. And yet, I know that waiting for that will only keep me chained to something I am meant to rise above. So I come to you, not with a clean heart, but with a willing one. Teach me what it means to forgive, even when apologies never arrive. Teach me how to free others from my expectations, and in doing so, free myself from the burden of holding it all. Help me release the resentment I have dressed up as boundaries. Help me soften where I have become hard, not so I can be hurt again, but so I can live unburdened. I do not want to be defined by what broke me. I want to be known by the grace that carried me through. So I open my hands, slowly, reluctantly, but truly, and I begin the process again, not out of duty, but out of desire to breathe again. And Father, I must ask too for the courage to forgive myself. Because sometimes The harshest weight I carry is my own voice. The things I should have done, the words I regret, the silence I kept, the roads I took that led to pain for others. For myself, I know you have forgiven me, but some days I struggle to receive it fully. I hold pieces of guilt like evidence, afraid to let them go in case I forget how far I have come. But guilt was never meant to be a reminder of grace. It was only meant to lead me to it. So I bring you the things I still blame myself for. I lay them down without tying strings to them. I bring you the moments I keep replaying, hoping to rewrite. I bring you the shame that lingers even after confession. I let you carry what I was never strong enough to fix. I trust that if you can forgive me, then maybe I can learn to forgive myself too, not with denial, but with the humility of someone who knows they have been washed clean. There are names that rise in my heart even now. People who hurt me, people I have hurt, situations still unresolved, and I speak their names quietly, one by one, not to reopen wounds but to place them in your hands. You are the only one who knows every layer of what happened. You saw what I could not. You understand what words never captured. And so I ask you to bring healing where I cannot reach, to restore what I cannot rebuild, to bring peace where conversation is no longer possible. I do not need revenge. I need release. I do not want to win. I want to be well. And if that means surrendering my pride, I choose to do so now. If that means trusting you with my reputation, my defense, my story, I choose to trust, because you are a better redeemer than I am a record keeper. You are not asking me to forget. You are asking me to be free. Let forgiveness be the sweep that clears what light has revealed. Let it be the broom in my hand, guided by grace. Let it make space not just for healing, but for joy. I want to live without rehearsing old pain. I want my mind to be a home for peace, not punishment. I want to wake up without the undertone of bitterness. I want to speak without the edge of old offenses. I want to laugh without wondering when joy will be taken from me again. And in the clearing, let love rise. Let compassion return. Let trust be rebuilt, not always with others, but always with you. Let my capacity to forgive be shaped by your endless mercy, not by my limited strength. Let it be a reflection of the grace that found me, not a reflection of the hurt that tried to define me. If there is one thing I know this morning, it is that you are near, not because I am perfect, but because I am present. Not because I have figured out how to let go of everything, but because I am willing to start. And that is enough. That is the beginning. So with hands no longer clenched and a heart no longer closed, I offer you what I have carried. And I ask you to replace it with something better, not comfort alone, but courage, not numbness, but healing, not walls, but windows, not fear, but freedom, freedom to live, to trust, to love, to begin again. God, now that forgiveness has begun to sweep through the rooms of my heart, I find myself listening differently. The noise that once filled every corner of my mind is quieter. The weight of unspoken pain, of rehearsed anger, of guilt too familiar to question, it has started to lift. And in the space that forgiveness leaves behind, something tender stirs, not a shout, not a sermon, but a whisper, a presence, a voice, yours. There is something about silence that both comforts and unnerves me. I used to fill every pause with sound, music, news, conversations, distractions. I feared silence because I did not know what might rise in it. But now, as the inner storm begins to settle, I realize that silence is not empty. It is sacred. It is not a void. It is the space where you speak. I am learning that you are not always in the thunder, or the fire, or the wind. Sometimes you arrive in the stillness, and I miss you because I expect something louder. But you do not compete for attention. You wait for mine, and I do not want to live my life so fast, so filled, that I only catch glimpses of you in hindsight. So now, Lord, I quiet my heart, not to escape, but to tune in, like turning the dial on an old radio, searching past the static for that one true frequency. I want to hear what you are saying, not just generally, but to me. I know you speak, not always in sentences, not always in ways I expect, but you speak. And if I want to be led, I must be willing to listen. There are so many voices, Father, voices that shape how I see myself, voices that tell me who I should be, what I should fear, what I should chase. Some are subtle, some scream, some wear the mask of wisdom, but only one voice brings peace. Only one quiets the others without effort. Only one leads me beside still waters and restores my soul. That is the voice I long for. Let me recognize you, even in the gentle nudge. Let me hear you, not only in big decisions but in daily rhythms. I do not need grand revelations. I need simple clarity. I need to know which step to take, which word to say, which thing to release. I need to know how to live awake to your presence, not just aware of my plans. Sometimes I have mistaken silence for absence. I have believed that if you are not answering quickly, you are not answering at all. But now I see that you speak on your timing, not mine. That sometimes the pause is part of the message, that the space between question and answer is where trust grows. So help me to wait well, to lean in, to be still without panic, to rest without needing every detail in advance. Your voice does not always come when I expect, but it always comes when I need it, and when it does, it brings peace. Even if the answer is not what I had imagined. God, I also ask for the courage to obey when I hear you, because sometimes I do recognize your voice, but it challenges me. It asks me to release what I am not ready to let go. It leads me into places that stretch my comfort. But if I truly want to walk with you, I must learn to follow without hesitation. I must trust that you see the full picture, not just the frame I am standing in. Teach me the rhythm of retreat and return. Let me create space in my day not just for tasks, but for tuning in. Let my mornings begin with listening, not listing. Let my afternoons hold moments where I pause to realign. Let my nights end with reflection, not regret. I do not want to live disconnected from the one who holds my every breath. Even now, I pause again, not to speak, but to sense, to breathe slowly, to notice. And in this moment, I believe you are near, not demanding, not distant but present. I may not hear words, but I feel the pull toward quiet confidence, toward deeper awareness, toward that unmistakable sense that I am not alone. Let my spirit become sensitive to you, not just in sacred spaces, but everywhere. In traffic, at the table, while working, while walking. Let me hear you in laughter, in longing, in the stirring of compassion. Let me recognize your whisper in the stillness that settles after tears. Let me see your guidance not just in answers, but in open doors and closed ones, in divine delays, in unexpected peace. And when I drift, call me back gently. When I forget to tune in, draw me with kindness. You are not the voice of shame. You are not the echo of fear. You are the voice of truth, the one who reminds me of who I am when I have forgotten, the one who speaks identity where the world has spoken insecurity, the one who says stay when I am ready to run, and go when I have become too still. Let me become fluent in your language, not just your words, but your tone. Let me know the difference between my thoughts and your whisper, between the noise of fear and the leading of peace, between reaction and response, between pressure and purpose. I do not want to live numb or distracted. I want to be attuned, to be moved not by every wind, but by your spirit, to speak not from impulse, but from insight, to act not from fear, but from faith. And that can only come when I remain close, when I choose to stay near enough to hear. So here I am, quiet again, listening, not for lightning, but for lightness, not for answers, but for awareness. And I believe you are here, already speaking, already guiding, already waiting for me to notice. Let today be filled not with more noise, but with more clarity. Let my every step echo your whisper. Let your still small voice shape the way I walk, speak, and see the world around me. Lord, now that my spirit is learning to quiet down and listen, I begin to hear more than just your voice. I hear the echoes of pain that still linger in the places silence has uncovered. In the stillness, things surface that once stayed buried beneath the noise. And while I thought tuning in would only bring clarity, it has also brought a deeper awareness of what still needs to heal. But even this, I welcome, because I know that you are not afraid of wounds. You are drawn to them. You are the healer who does not flinch. You are the comforter who comes close. There are places in me that are tender still, not because I lack faith, because life has left its fingerprints. Some wounds are fresh. Others are old but sensitive. Some I have acknowledged. Some I have pretended to outgrow. And yet, they all cry out when things go quiet. They all seem to rise when my heart becomes still enough to listen. You do not scold me for still bleeding. You do not shame me for not being over it yet. Instead, you draw near. You take the time to sit with me in the pain I cannot explain to anyone else. You remind me that healing is not a destination. It is a sacred unfolding, a holy process, a gentle, daily exchange of sorrow for strength, grief for grace. Father, help me not to rush this part. Help me to be patient with myself as you are patient with me. So often I have tried to speed through the pain, to outrun the ache, perform wholeness I did not feel. But healing is not pretending. Healing is presence, and in your presence, I can finally stop hiding the places that hurt. I bring you the memories that still sting, the moments I rarely talk about because I do not know how to, the seasons of disappointment that shifted something inside me, the relationships that left silent bruises, the prayers that felt unanswered, the dreams that never grew past hope. I place them in your hands, not to erase the past, but to invite you into it. You are the only one who knows how deep it goes. You were there when the breaking happened. You saw the private battles, the quiet nights of silent tears, the times I smiled while unraveling inside. You know what it cost me to keep moving. And now, you know what it takes for me to finally pause and feel again. God, I do not ask you to take the pain away instantly. I ask you to meet me in it, to hold me where I have tried to hold myself, to speak life where I have spoken silence. I trust that healing is coming not always in the ways I expect, but in ways that matter, maybe not with sudden miracles, but with slow mending, maybe not with fanfare, but with faithfulness. Show me how to stay present while I wait. Teach me to trust that even when I feel nothing changing on the surface, something deeper is shifting, that even when my feelings waver, you remain constant, that you are working in the unseen spaces, stitching together what I thought would never be whole again. Let my healing not be rushed. Let it be real. Let it be layered, lasting, and led by you. Let it move through me slowly, restoring what was broken not just in form, but in function. Let me not just look healed. Let me live healed. Let me love from a healed place. Let me speak from a healed heart. Let me walk forward, not dragging the past behind me, but allowing grace to go before me. In the waiting, teach me to breathe again, deeply, freely, without fear of the next wound or memory. Let waiting become a sacred pause, not a punishment. Let it be the space where you wrap me in understanding instead of urgency, where you rebuild me gently, piece by piece, with hands that never grow tired. Father, I also want to learn how to be gracious with others in their healing. Too often I have measured someone's progress by my timeline, forgetting that every wound is unique. Help me to offer the same patience you have offered me, to be a safe place for those still learning to trust again, to be a gentle presence for those learning how to speak after seasons of silence. Let me not demand from others what you have not demanded from me. And while I wait, remind me that I am not behind. Healing has no deadline. Restoration has no clock. I am not late. I am being formed. And what you are forming is something beautiful. Even if I cannot see it yet, even if all I see today is the soil, I believe something is growing beneath the surface. Something holy. Something whole. God, I confess that there are days I grow discouraged. Days when I wonder if I will ever be the same again, if I will ever feel fully joyful, fully free. But then I remember, I am not called to go back to who I was. I am called to become who you are making me to be. And that version of me, the one shaped by grace, by perseverance, by surrender, is worth waiting for. So let the waiting be worship. Let the pauses be prayer. Let the stillness be sacred. I do not have to see the full picture to know you are at work. I do not have to understand the timeline to believe in the outcome. I only need to remain close, to keep showing up, to keep breathing, to keep trusting that you are not finished with me yet. Even in the quiet, I feel the weight of your hands holding me together. I feel the strength in your silence, the healing in your slowness. I feel something soft returning to places that once felt cold, a quiet assurance, a gentle permission to rest. I am healing. Even here, even now, even slowly. And if the only thing I do today is let you stay close, then that is enough. That is holy. That is healing. Because in your nearness, I am made new, not in a moment, but in the moments I choose to remain. Father, as the healing settles and the waiting becomes sacred, I feel a new stirring begin to rise. Not the kind of restlessness that comes from anxiety, but a gentle readiness, like the earth softening just before the seed breaks open. I sense that you are not only healing what was broken, but preparing me for what is next. I can feel it deep within, the quiet nudge toward movement, the whisper that says it is time to walk with what I have heard. Not rush, not strive, but respond. You have been speaking all along, and now that I have learned how to listen, you are calling me to act, to obey, to trust that your voice was not meant just to comfort, but to guide, to believe that when you say move, even if I do not know where it leads, the right response is yes. But obedience is not easy. It sounds simple in prayer. But when I stand at the edge of what you ask, everything in me hesitates. I replay the risks. I overanalyze the unknowns. I worry about getting it wrong. And yet, every time I have said yes before, you have met me there. You have been faithful, even when I was unsure. You have led with mercy, even when I faltered, and I know, deep down, that you are not asking for perfection. You are asking for participation. Lord, help me trust you in the space between the word and the step, that sacred place where the instruction is clear, but the outcome is still unseen. Help me not to fill that space with delay or doubt. Help me not to consult fear before responding to faith. Let me be quick to obey, not because I am impulsive, but because I am surrendered. There are things you have whispered that I have not yet followed through on, ideas I have shelved, conversations I have avoided, acts of love I have postponed, all because obedience felt costly. But now I see the greater cost is in the delay. Because every step I withhold is a moment missed. Every hesitation robs me of deeper trust. Every pause rooted in fear gives ground back to what you already called me to rise above. Father, I want to be someone you can trust with the next instruction. Not just someone who hears, but someone who moves. Let my obedience be wholehearted, not out of obligation, but out of devotion. Let it be the fruit of love, not fear. Let it grow from the place in me that knows you are always working for my good, even when the path winds in ways I cannot predict. I ask you to show me where I have grown passive, where I have been waiting for a sign instead of walking by the word I already received, where I have let uncertainty become an excuse. I do not want to stall any longer. I do not want to miss divine moments because I was too afraid to take the first step. Even if the first move feels small, I trust that obedience in your name always opens something greater. Help me not to look for comfort as confirmation. Sometimes you ask me to go into unfamiliar places. Sometimes you lead me away from what is easy. Sometimes you speak into the very area I hoped you would not touch. But even there, especially there, you are present. You do not call me to walk where you have not already gone, and that truth is my confidence. Give me boldness where I have been timid, clarity where I have been confused, and peace where I have been battling the weight of indecision. Let my first instinct be trust. Let my default posture be yes, not because I understand, but because I believe. Not because I can see the end, but because I know the one who stands at both the beginning and the end, and every uncertain step in between. I offer you the plans I have made without you, the paths I have paved to avoid discomfort, the detours I have taken to maintain control. I surrender every map drawn in fear, every timeline built from insecurity, and I ask you to redraw my steps not with logic, but with love, not with safety, but with sacred intention. And Father, when obedience feels lonely, remind me that I am never walking alone. When others do not understand my yes, when I cannot explain what you have called me to, help me to remain faithful anyway. Let me be more committed to your voice than to the approval of people. Let me follow even when the crowd stops watching. Let my surrender be between me and you. Obedience is not always loud. Sometimes it is a quiet choice made in a small moment. Choosing to forgive before the other apologizes. Choosing to speak truth when silence would be easier. Choosing to stay when it is hard, or go when it is risky. Obedience often looks like nothing to the world, but in your eyes, it moves mountains. Remind me that the miracles I long for are often waiting behind the yes I have yet to give, that the breakthrough I pray for might be on the other side of a single act of courage, that obedience is not about instant results, but eternal impact. You are never in a hurry, but you are always on time, and when I walk in step with you, I am never truly late. I am aligned. Let obedience become my offering today, not just in the big choices, but in the quiet ones. Let it shape my tone in conversation, my patience in waiting, my willingness to serve without recognition, my courage to speak when silence feels safer. Let it saturate my moments so fully that my life becomes an echo of your leading. You are not asking me to leap without direction. You are simply asking me to trust the one who leads. And that is what I choose today. Even trembling, even slowly, even with questions, I choose to step forward with my eyes on you, because obedience is not the absence of fear. It is the presence of faith that moves anyway. And so here I am. Father, standing in that sacred space between what you said and what I will do. Let it not be wasted. Let it not be filled with excuses or delays. Let it be holy. Let it be bold. Let it be my yes, not just in words, but in motion. Let this be the day I stop rehearsing the next step and start walking it. With you. For you. In you. Father, now that my heart has whispered its yes, and I have begun to move in obedience, I can feel the shift in the air around me. It is subtle but undeniable, as if the ground beneath my feet has changed from the familiar comfort of solid routine to the soft unknown of deeper trust. This is not the place where I walk by sight. This is the place where faith is asked to stretch, where belief is invited to grow beyond the boundaries of my understanding. You have never promised that obedience would always lead me on easy paths. But you have promised that you would go with me, and now I find myself stepping into places where my own logic cannot carry me. It is the deep, and I feel it. The ground behind me is safe and known. But forward feels like surrender all over again. God, I did not expect that following you would lead me here. Here, where I cannot see the end from the beginning. Here, where the silence feels heavier and the outcomes are hidden. Here, where I am too far from the shore to swim back, yet too far from what you have promised to touch it. And still, I trust you, because you called me, and you never call without purpose. You have not brought me into the deep to drown me. You have brought me here to draw me closer, because it is in these unfamiliar waters that I finally let go of my need to control, my desire to calculate, my habit of predicting. It is here that I realize how much I depended on comfort, and how little I truly leaned on you when everything felt manageable. Now, nothing feels manageable. And strangely, that is what makes it holy. I am no longer pretending I have it all figured out. I am no longer holding the steering wheel with white-knuckled grip. I am floating in a sea of faith, and all I can do is keep my eyes on you. That is trust. That is worship. That is surrender. Lord, I bring you my questions, not to demand answers, but to confess that they exist. I wonder why this season feels so unclear, why the direction is not more defined, why the very act of following you has led me to waters that stretch my limits. But even as I ask, I know deep is where you speak most clearly. Deep is where distractions die and devotion is refined. Deep is where I discover that intimacy with you matters more than clarity. Let this space become sacred, not because I understand it, but because you are here. Let it teach me what shallow never could. Let it quiet the parts of me that only knew how to perform. Let it break the illusion that strength means certainty. Teach me that real faith is not proven on the shore. It is revealed in the deep. There are days when I want to go back, to the rhythm I knew, to the answers that made me feel safe, to the routine where I could predict the outcomes and manage the risks. But I know that growth does not live there. Fruit does not grow on the edges. It grows when roots stretch into unseen soil. And so I remain. Not because I have no fear, but because I have chosen courage. Father, help me breathe in this space. Help me not to panic when the wind picks up or the waves rise. Let me remember that you sleep in storms not because you do not care, because you have already spoken peace. Let me believe that if you are not anxious, I do not need to be either. When I feel overwhelmed, remind me of your presence. When I feel directionless, remind me of your character. When I feel stretched too far, remind me that you are the one doing the stretching, not to break me, but to shape me. Stretching is painful, but it is proof of potential. It means something is growing. Something is being prepared. God, I surrender the need to feel steady in order to move forward. Let faith be my footing. Let your word be my compass. Let obedience be my anchor. Let the deep refine me, not define me. I am not lost. I am led. I am not adrift. I am held. And if the deep feels lonely, let me find companionship in your voice. If it feels vast and unending, let me rest in the truth that no distance can separate me from your love. I am here by accident. I am here by assignment. And that means this space, this season, this tension, this uncharted territory is part of the plan. It is part of the making of me. The deep produce what shallow never could. Let it birth resilience. Let it forge character. Let it strip away everything I leaned on more than you. Let it become the training ground for greater trust, the womb of new beginnings, the altar of transformation. And when the fear whispers loud, when the doubt taps on the door of my mind, when the pressure to return to what is known becomes strong, remind me that the miracle is not back there. It is ahead. It is waiting. It is tied to this exact moment where faith must speak louder than fear. Let this obedience not be temporary. Let it not be conditional. Let it remain even when the outcome delays. Let it endure even when it feels unseen. Let it worship even when it feels risky. This is where the roots are going down deep, and I will not pull them up just because it takes time to see fruit. I believe, Father, that you are doing something in this deep place that cannot be rushed. I believe you are setting foundations that will carry more than I can imagine. I believe you are preparing something I would not have asked for, but something I will one day thank you for. So here I stay, not out of fear, but out of faith, because I know what comes next, but because I know who walks with me. And that is enough. Your presence is enough. Your promise is enough. Your word is enough. Even in the deep, especially in the deep, this is where I choose to remain. This is where faith becomes sight, not all at once, but slowly, step by surrendered step. Father, now that I have followed you into the deep and chosen to remain even when the shore disappeared, I feel you asking something more. Not louder, but deeper. Not heavier, but holier. You are calling me not only to trust you with the unknown, to place something on the altar, something that has always felt too sacred to release. I know this voice now. It comes not to demand, but to invite. It does not pressure. It pierces, not to wound, but to awaken. There are things I have kept hidden, not from you, but from surrender. Things I told myself I had offered, when in truth I had only adjusted them, managed them, tuck them into neat corners of my faith, where they could still be touched but not transformed. But now I know surrender is not rearranging what I want to keep. It is releasing what I was never meant to carry in the first place. You are asking for the safe places, the familiar habits, the treasured dreams, not to take from me, but to make space for something greater. You are reminding me that worship is not simply what I say, but what I lay down. That trust is not only proven in storms, but on the altar. And here I am, standing with full hands, realizing I cannot carry you and cling to everything else at the same time. Lord, I bring you the things I hold most tightly, the desires I have not dared to speak aloud, the prayers I have wrapped in caution, afraid to hope too deeply, the timelines I have crafted in secret, the expectations I have set without asking if they were ever mine to hold. I bring you the comforts that have quietly taken the place of courage, the routines I have used to protect myself from risk, the patterns that feel safe but no longer serve growth. You are not asking for a piece of my heart. You are asking for the place I have never given anyone, not even myself. The place where I plan to build, to secure, to control. And now you say, place it here, on the altar, not as a loss, but as a seed, not as punishment, but as preparation. And in your voice, I hear no threat, only love, only invitation. But God, it is hard, not because I do not trust you, because this thing feels woven into me. The dream, the plan, the identity I have attached to it. It feels like letting it go might unmake me. But I remember now, you never unmake without remaking. You never take without purpose. You never ask for something unless you are ready to release something better. So I hold it out, shaking, unsure, but willing. I bring the dream that has not bloomed yet, the relationship I have hoped for, the outcome I have been trying to control, the version of my life I thought I needed. And I place it on the altar not with bitterness, but with faith. I do not lay it down because I have stopped caring. I lay it down because I care too deeply to carry it without your blessing. I remember Abraham walking up the mountain with Isaac, the son he had waited his whole life to receive. He did not understand the ask. He did not know the end, but he obeyed, trusting the God who gave the promise would also provide. That kind of surrender changes a person. That kind of faith does not happen overnight. It is built in moments like this when you whisper, "Let it go," and I answer, "Yes," even if my hands tremble. Father, make me brave enough to sacrifice not just what is broken, but what is beloved, not just what hurts, but what I treasure. Let me not confuse attachment with trust. Let me not cling to what you are asking me to offer. Let me release with reverence. Let me surrender with expectation, not of loss, but of resurrection. Because whatever I place on the altar in obedience, you transform. Help me let go of the illusion of control, the false sense of safety that comes from self-made plans, the comfort I have built around myself like armor, only to realize it was keeping more out than it was keeping me safe. You are not asking me to walk without direction. You are asking me to walk without conditions, to follow even when the outcome is unclear, to obey even when the altar feels painful. This is not about proving my faith. It is about making space for deeper relationship. You are not testing me. You are inviting me to live in the fullness of trust. You are drawing me nearer, not through guarantees, but through surrender. And I am learning, slowly and surely, that the altar is not the place where things end. It is the place where things begin again, refined, redefined, resurrected. Let this inner altar be sacred. Let it be honest. Let it be uncluttered by pride or performance. Let it hold not just what I am willing to give, but what you are asking me to trust you with. I do not want to withhold parts of my heart while pretending to worship with all of it. I want to be wholehearted, even when it costs me something comfortable. Especially then, Lord, meet me in this offering. See the willingness, even if it is weak. See the love behind the laying down. See the faith forming in the midst of the letting go. And if I must surrender again tomorrow, help me do it joyfully, because every time I release something into your hands, I make room for more of you. This altar within me, this space, where obedience and affection meet, it is yours. It belongs to you more than to my plans. It belongs to purpose more than to comfort. And I want to live in a way that reflects that truth every single day. I want my heart to echo yes before I even hear the ask. I want the rhythm of my life to be shaped by surrender, not fear. I do not want to decorate what you have asked me to lay down. I do not want to justify what you have already asked me to release. I want to build an altar in the middle of my everyday and say with open hands, this too, Lord, whatever it is, even the things I have called mine, even the pieces I thought I needed, even the dreams I have not dared to believe you could do more with. So here I am, standing by the altar you have prepared in me, the one built not of stone, but of stillness, not of wood, but of willingness. And I offer not just what is broken, but what is beloved, knowing that what I entrust to you never disappears. It is always transformed, always made new, always multiplied in ways I could never manufacture on my own. God, after placing what I held dearest onto the altar, after surrendering even the dreams that felt most sacred to me, I find myself standing in a quiet space I did not expect. I thought letting go would leave me empty. But instead, it has awakened something deeper, something unnameable at first, raw and persistent like an ache that stretches from my chest to my spirit. It is not sadness. It is not fear. It is hunger, a holy hunger, not for things, not for answers, not even for resolution. It is a longing for you pure, unfiltered, and unrelenting. The kind of hunger that wakes before words, the kind that cannot be filled by business or even blessings. It grows not from lack, but from awareness. The more I taste your presence, the more I crave it. The more I recognize your hand in the surrender, the more I desire your heart in the silence. This hunger is not noisy. It does not demand. It waits. It watches. It whispers in the space where comfort used to live, gently reminding me that what I need most cannot be seen, only known. It reminds me that the deep places in me are not designed for temporary satisfaction, but for the eternal. That nothing in this world, no matter how beautiful or successful or admired, can compare to the nearness of you. And Lord, I confess I have tried to satisfy this itch with lesser things. I have reached for distractions when desire felt too heavy. I have substituted activity for intimacy. I have poured myself into service while my soul was starving for stillness. But none of it lasted. None of it filled. It only left me more aware of what was missing, more in tune with the emptiness that only you can truly fill. So now I do not ask you to take this hunger away. I ask you to deepen it, to make me a person who hungers for you above all else. Let my spirit crave your presence the way my body craves breath. Let my soul thirst for your nearness more than for understanding or applause. I do not want a hunger for what is comfortable. I want a hunger for what is holy. Let my days be shaped not by what I pursue, but by who I pursue. I do not want to chase shadows of purpose when you are the source. I do not want to build altars to my own achievements when all they do is leave me hollow. I want to live with a continual ache for you, not the kind that leaves me restless, but the kind that pulls me deeper, the kind that keeps me seeking, keeps me kneeling, keeps me waiting at your feet, not out of obligation, but out of pure desire. This hunger makes me aware of how often I have settled for moments with you when you were inviting me into a lifestyle of abiding, settled for routine when you were calling me into wonder, settled for glimpses when you were offering glory. Father, forgive me for filling my schedule while starving my soul. Forgive me for treating your presence as something optional, something reserved for emergencies or Sunday mornings. You are not a moment. You are not a visit. You are the home I was made to live in. You are not an experience to be chased. You are a person to be known. You are not one part of my life. You are life itself. And I want to live like that is true, not just in prayer, but in posture, not just in words, but in choices. Let this hunger teach me how to wait with joy. Let it become my compass when I feel lost. Let it remind me that my deepest need is not clarity, but connection, not strategy, but surrender, not resolution, but relationship. I want to be a person whose appetite for you outweighs every other ambition. I want to be known not by what I accomplish, but by how I abide, by how quickly I run to you, by how fully I listen, by how deeply I remain. And God, let this hunger not be a private fire. Let it spill into every space I enter. Let it spark something in the hearts around me, not a performance, but a presence, not a presentation, but a pursuit. Let others see the ache in my eyes and recognize it as sacred. Let them sense the pull toward more. Not because I have it all together, because I have chosen to stay close to you. Let this longing protect me from becoming numb. Let it keep my faith alive when nothing around me stirs. Let it burn even when the fire of others grows dim. Let it guard me from cynicism, from settling, from losing wonder. Let it be the H that draws me again and again to the altar, not out of guilt, but out of desire, not because I must, but because I cannot stay away. even in the waiting, even when the answers are still forming. I feel you honoring the hunger, not because I deserve it, but because that is who you are. You meet the longing. You feed the seeking. You fill the emptiness not with explanations, but with yourself. So feed this hunger with your presence, Lord. Not just in the quiet morning, but in the chaos of the day. Not just when I feel you, but when I can trace you. Let me crave you in the middle of good days and hard ones, in celebration and sorrow, in clarity and confusion. Let me hunger for your nearness like manna in the desert, like water in a dry land, like light at the break of dawn. I do not want this ache to disappear. I want it to anchor me, to humble me, to remind me that I was never made to live on what fades, that nothing temporal can sustain me, that every accomplishment will ring hollow without you at its center, that every success without intimacy is still a kind of famine. You are the feast, God. You are the table. You are the bread that never goes stale, the well that never runs dry. And I want to build my life around that table. I want to stay close enough to reach for more, again and again, to sit in the presence of the one who satisfies not through answers, but through intimacy. So keep me hungry, keep me longing, keep me desperate in the best way. Let my soul remain open, always reaching, always leaning in, always saying, there must be more, and knowing that in you, there always is, Lord, as the H deepens in the quiet corners of my soul. I come to you once more. The longing I feel is not loud, it does not shout or demand, but it lingers like a gentle yearning, a hollow space waiting for the breath of heaven. I feel it most when the world is still, when there are no voices but the silent whisper inside that asks for more, not more of the world, but more of you. And so I return to this sacred place of prayer, not as someone with strength to offer, but as a vessel still waiting to be filled. I am reminded, Lord, of how gently you move. You do not always arrive in fire or thunder. Sometimes you come in the rustling of leaves, in the breeze that brushes against the skin, in the way morning sunlight kisses the eyelids before they open. You arrive in subtlety, but the effect of your presence is anything but small. Your touch, Lord, changes everything. This morning, as I close my eyes and let my thoughts dissolve, I reach for that touch again. I do not want more words or answers, I want you. I want the weight of your love to settle on my chest like a warm blanket, calming the worry that pulses beneath my ribs. I want your nearness to be real, not just in faith, but in felt experience. I want the holy hush of heaven to silence the chaos that still echoes in the corridors of my mind. You see it all, Father. You see the trembling hope I hold, and the tired fear that creeps up behind it. Some days I feel too raw to pray, too wary to believe for something better. But somehow, you keep inviting me. You keep opening the door and lighting the candle and saying, "Come, sit with me." And every time I do, something shifts. The coldness starts to melt. The shadows begin to recede. And I remember that I am not alone. Touch me again, Lord, not in the way that demands fanfare, but in the still way that leaves a mark. Touch the part of me that is losing patience. Touch the dreams I have buried too deep. Touch the relationships that feel too broken to speak of. Touch the old wounds that have not yet closed. I do not ask for magic. I ask for you. Because when you come close, even the smallest things begin to bloom again. There is a stillness I am learning to rest in. I used to be afraid of it, used to think silence meant distance. But now I see that some of your greatest works are done in silence. Like a seed buried in soil, growth does not always make noise. It happens deep, hidden, slow. And so I give you this silence today, not as resignation, but as invitation. I give you my quiet moments, my unspoken questions, and my aching need. I believe you will meet me here. You are teaching me to wait differently, not with clenched fists or anxious timelines, but with open hands and steady breath. You are showing me that waiting with you is not wasted time. It is worship. It is transformation. It is the place where I begin to look less like fear and more like faith. Even now, in this space, something sacred is forming. I may not see it clearly yet, but I feel it. I sense the whisper of heaven near. Lord, let your touch be the turning point. Let it reach into the places I have forgotten how to name. Let it stir the still waters and wake up the sleeping parts of me. Let it be the reminder that you are not far, that healing is not distant, that love is not a concept, it is a person. And you are here. Help me to recognize you in the ordinary, in the footsteps down the hallway, in the laugh of a child, in the morning cup of coffee. Let me see your fingerprints everywhere, so that even when I feel unseen, I know I am not unknown. You have touched the fabric of my life with a care that no human could offer. You have sewn my wounds with invisible threads of mercy. And today, I choose to feel that again. God, I want to ask you to take away the hunger. I ask that you meet me in it. Be the bread that satisfies without end. Be the living water that quenches in places even I did not know were dry. I have tried to fill the void with everything else: distraction, ambition, even numbness, but none of them lasted. Only you remain. Only you soothe in a way that lingers long after the moment has passed. So come again, gently, steadily. Come like the dew on grass, present before I even noticed. Come and show me that even when I do not know what I need, you do. Even when I do not know what to pray, you are already interceding. Even when I feel too frail to hope, you are already building something beautiful within me. I do not need to feel strong today. I just need to be open. I need to lean into the warmth of your touch and trust that your timing is perfect. Your ways are kind, and your heart is for me. Not because I have earned it, not because I am holy enough, but because you are love, and love always finds a way to reach. Here I am, God, not polished or perfect, just present. Here I am with all my questions and quiet hopes. Touch me again. Let today begin not with answers, but with intimacy. Let this be the day I stop reaching for control and start receiving grace. Let me fall into the softness of your spirit and discover that this is enough. You are enough. And so, I remain in this place with you, Not because I have to, but because I want to. Because no matter what waits beyond this prayer, your touch has changed me. Not dramatically, but deeply. Not loudly, but lastingly. And that, Father, is the miracle I did not even know I needed. God, in the stillness that followed your gentle touch, I realized how much I have feared the silence. I thought it meant absence, but now I understand it often means you are working beneath the surface. It took me years to believe that waiting could be holy, that it could be sacred ground where faith learns to breathe even when nothing is visible. And now, resting in the echo of your nearness, I sense you teaching me how to hold still without losing hope, how to remain planted without growing numb. You are the God of presence, not just in movement, but in stillness, not just in miracles, but in the in-between. And so as I stand on this threshold of yet to be answered prayers, I lift my eyes again and whisper, "Come stay with me here." I do not want to move ahead of you. I do not want to reach for what is not yet mine, or run past the lesson you are teaching. I want to learn how to inhabit the moment, this exact moment, with grace, with trust, and with eyes that still believe in light, even when surrounded by shadow. You are drawing me into a deeper kind of faith, not the faith that demands immediate signs, but the one that sits with you in silence and still says, "You are good, you are enough, you are near." There is something unshakable being forged in this place. Though I cannot name it, a deeper rest, a more grounded confidence, a peace that is not swayed by headlines or storms. And I find myself longing not just for breakthrough, but for more of you in the breaking. So many days I have seen waiting as wasted time, but you are reframing it for me. You are showing me how even the pause is part of the process, like a painter who lingers between brush strokes, or a gardener who watches the soil in patience. You do not rush what you love. You are intentional. And that means this moment matters. My waiting matters. It is not empty. It is full of you. Father, teach me to stop measuring my days by productivity and instead start measuring them by presence. Did I see you today? Did I listen for your whisper? Did I choose to breathe deep rather than chase another distraction? Help me to live the kind of life that finds you in the margins, in the overlooked, in the ordinary. Let the sacred invade the mundane until there is no separation between my prayers and my moments, between my spirit and my schedule. You have never failed me. Not once. Even in seasons that felt like silence, you were sustaining me. Even when I doubted, you stayed. Even when I ran, you waited. Your kindness has no end, and in the quiet, I hear you calling me back to what matters. Not applause, not success, not clarity, but closeness, union, oneness with you. This is the holy H, is not it? The longing to be known and still embraced. The desire to be filled with something that cannot be taken by time or trial. I am learning that sometimes your greatest gifts do not look like answers. They look like anchors. They keep me grounded when life feels unstable. They hold me steady when my own faith feels fragile. You are anchoring me in this season, not in certainty, but in surrender, not in answers, in assurance. I feel you slowly untying the knots of fear I have clung to for too long. I feel you softening the places I had hardened for self-protection. I feel you reminding me that vulnerability is not weakness when it is wrapped in trust. So I will wait, Lord, but not with resignation. I will wait with expectation, with reverence, with a heart that stays open even when the road ahead is not. I will wait with wonder, asking not just what you will do for me, but what you are doing in me through this, because I believe transformation is happening right here, in the middle of the unknown. Let your light meet me again this morning, not just to show the way, but to warm the parts of me that have grown cold. Let it seep into my thinking, my speaking, my choosing. Let it illuminate what I have ignored and tenderly touch what I have hidden. Let it lead me gently back to joy, not the loud kind, but the deep kind that knows you are here, and that is enough. Even as I speak these words, I know I am not alone. You are listening, leaning close, loving me in ways I am still learning to recognize. And for the first time in a long time, I do not feel the need to hurry this moment. I can simply rest here with you. I can let your nearness be the miracle. If today brings more waiting, more unknowns, more silence, I will remember that it also brings you, and that makes all the difference. Lord, in the quiet of this moment, I let go of my anxious striving and lean into the gentle rhythm of your presence. Each breath becomes an invitation, each pause a reminder that I am not forgotten. You have been whispering into the corners of my waiting, speaking through the hush what words cannot capture. You are here, even now, as my thoughts untangle and my spirit exhales. There is something holy in this stillness. It does not scream for my attention like the world does. It does not rush me into urgency or pull me toward exhaustion. It simply waits, like you do, with open arms and unwavering patience. And I am learning to wait too, to trust that waiting with you is not wasted time but sacred space. Every silent second becomes a sanctuary when I know you're present within it. Let me remember that love is not rushed. Teach me to find peace in the pauses. You shape my soul through stillness. Even the waiting is sacred with you. You speak in ways silence can carry. I trust the unseen because you hold it. Wrap me in grace that does not need answers. Guide me gently where I resist. You restore what the world wears down. I lean not on my own understanding. Let me not confuse motion with progress, noise with truth, or urgency with importance. Let me feel the weight of your stillness settling over me, like a warm blanket, pressing away the fears that dart like shadows across the walls of my mind. You are not found in the whirlwind or fire, but in the gentle whisper that follows. So let me draw near to that whisper and rest in its comfort. Help me see this morning not as a problem to solve or a mountain to conquer, but as a field to walk through slowly with you beside me. Help me resist the pressure to define my worth by productivity and instead root my identity in your unwavering affection. Speak to me in the unscheduled, surprise me in the unnoticed, and meet me in the mundane. I release the illusion that I must carry everything alone. I release the need to control what is beyond me. I choose to sit here, in this quiet, knowing that even in silence you are active, even in delay, you are designing. Even in my uncertainty, you are sure. Let the quiet become fertile ground for renewal. Let it be the soil in which hope begins to sprout again. Let it stretch out roots deep into grace and rise with a gentle confidence of a soul held firm in your promises. Let the stillness make room for you to work not around me, but within me. God, I carry the quiet of yesterday's revelations like a sacred thread woven into today's first breath. You have reminded me that in the silence you speak most clearly, and in the pause, you prepare me for movement as I wake again. Still tasting the nearness of your comfort, I lean into this day with a deeper dependence, not just for guidance, but for surrender. I feel you not only in triumph, but in hesitation, not only in strength, but in the yearning to be held steady. So much of this life feels like a balancing act between what I see and what I believe. But even in the unseen, you remain the anchor of truth. Lord, as the sun slowly stretches its light across the sky, help me stretch my faith across every worry that lingers in the corners of my heart. You see the doubts I try to hide behind my smile. You see the memories that rise uninvited. You understand the weight I carry in silence. So instead of running from them, I bring them into your light. I place each thought, each anxiety, like stones at your feet, trusting that you will not cast them away but transform them. You take what the world considers broken and turn it into sacred ground. I have learned that I do not need to have the right words. I only need to have a willing spirit. So I offer that now. Shape it. Mold it. Use it. Sometimes I do not understand the reason behind the waiting. Sometimes the delay feels like abandonment. But every time I thought you were silent, you were writing a deeper story. Every time I feared you had forgotten, you were drawing me closer. And even now, I sense you unfolding something that only makes sense in pieces. Father, help me to be patient in the process, not just to wait, but to wait well with hope, with gentleness, with trust that you are not withholding anything from me, only preparing something greater. Teach me that the pause is not punishment, and the silence is not disapproval. You are not absent in the quiet places. You are working beneath the surface, in the unseen. You are planting strength, stretching faith, restoring what I did not even realize was worn. There is a part of me that still wants to control, to know, to predict, but control has never given me peace, only the illusion of it. And illusions always collapse under pressure. So instead, I ask for peace, the kind that does not need explanation, the kind that breathes calm over chaos. Let your presence be louder than the noise of my fears. Let it wash over every corner of my heart where doubt still makes its home. Lord, draw me into your rhythm, one that is not rushed, not reactive, but deeply rooted in trust. Let me walk through this day as one who knows I am held, not because I earned it, not because I am strong, but because I am yours. And being yours means I never walk alone. Even in uncertainty, I walk covered. Even in confusion, I walk chosen. Even in sorrow, I walk surrounded. When the voices around me grow loud, telling me what I lack, where I have failed, what I should fear, let me hear you louder still. Let me hear you in the wind that brushes past the leaves, in the pause between two breaths, in the soft beating of a heart that longs to believe. You whisper hope where there was despair. You whisper rest where there was striving. You whisper I am here when the world shouts you are alone. I do not want to live as one who merely survives the day. I want to live aware of your fingerprints in the mundane, aware of your grace in the overlooked, aware of the sacred hiding in every ordinary moment. Teach me to slow down enough to see it, to notice the way light dances on the wall, or the way kindness breaks through routine. Make me sensitive to your spirit, even in the smallest places. God, make my heart tender again, not hardened by disappointment or dulled by routine, but soft, able to feel, able to respond, able to love deeply, because you did not create me for numbness. You created me to reflect your heart, and your heart is moved by compassion. It bends low, it lifts others. It weeps with those who weep. It rejoices not in perfection, but in presence. So let my life reflect that kind of love, the kind that listens, that lingers, that shows up without needing to be noticed. I ask that you open my hands. For too long I have clutched my plans, my fears, my timelines. But open hands are the only ones that can receive, so I open them now, willing to release, willing to wait, willing to trust. And in the opening, I make room for peace. Not the kind the world gives, but the kind that only comes when I rest in you. Teach me to walk lighter, to breathe deeper, to hope sooner. Lord, remind me that breakthrough is not always loud. Sometimes it comes in gentle ways, a heart softening, a thought shifting, a burden lifting slowly over time. Help me not to overlook the small beginnings. You work in mustard seeds and morning dew. You rebuild from ashes and turn graves into gardens. So I do not ask for the dramatic, I ask for the divine. However you want to move, I welcome it. And when night falls again, and the world begins to quiet, let me look back on this day not with regret, but with gratitude. Let me see the thread of grace that ran through it all, the ways you held me, the ways you helped me hold others, the things you protected me from that I never even saw. Let me close my eyes knowing that I was never alone, not for one breath, not for one step, and let that truth carry me into tomorrow with a confidence not in myself, but in the one who carries me, God. When the noise of the world grows deafening and the weight of my own thoughts feels like thunder in a fragile sky, I come into this stillness seeking you, just as the last whisper of the previous hour reminded me that you are not found in the earthquake or the fire, but in the still, small voice. I lean now into that sacred hush where your presence hovers like breath upon breath. I do not want to rush this moment, for it is here, in the silent, unspoken space between heartbeats, that you begin to reassemble what the world has unraveled. My soul remembers how many times I ran, not from danger, but from discomfort, not from pain, but from the quiet in which you speak. I mistook stillness for stagnation, silence for neglect, but now I understand. You were always waiting there, in the quiet corners of my attention, bidding me slow down long enough to hear the truth I had buried beneath distractions. So, Lord, I choose this pause, not as an escape, but as a return to the truth that I am not alone and never have been. You are the God who meets me not only in the roar of answered prayers, but in the murmur of unvoiced longings. The breakthroughs I once expected as explosions now arrive as dawn light, as steady as breath, as quiet as dew. This morning, I do not ask for volume, I ask for vision. Open the eyes of my heart to see what is unseen. Peel back the curtain on the ordinary so I can behold the extraordinary you have woven into every detail. Let me find miracles not just in mountains moving, but in the faith that waits when they do not. Lord, teach me the sacred rhythm of rest, not just on days I feel tired, but on days when I feel driven, so I may remember who directs my steps. Teach me to rest not only to recover, but to realign. To hear your whisper saying, "This is the way, walk in it." When the world says hustle, may I hear you say hold. When the world says prove, may I hear you say peace. When the world says perform, may I remember I am already beloved. In stillness, you rebuild what striving tried to destroy. You mend my perspective, reorder my desires. Remind me that I am not a machine, but a soul. My value is not measured by productivity, but by proximity to your presence. So, I surrender every urgency I have elevated above you, every need I have tried to meet on my own, every plan I have drawn without first consulting the architect of my life. And in this surrender, something holy awakens. I begin to feel again not just the ache of longing, but the pulse of hope, not just the weariness of waiting, but the beauty of being held even in the wait. I sense you gathering the fragments of my heart, not to reprimand, but to restore. You see every broken place as a canvas for your glory. And though my timeline has felt like delay, your timing is always divine. You are not slow, you are precise. You are not absent, you are patient. You are not withholding, you are weaving. Even now, as the day stretches out before me, I do not face it alone. You walk into it ahead of me, behind me, beside me, within me. And as I breathe, I realize the most miraculous thing. I am still here. I have survived things I thought would consume me. I have emerged from battles I thought would define me. I have walked through seasons where light felt foreign, and yet here I stand still breathing, still reaching, still believing. Father, this moment is not small, it is sacred. It is a reminder that heaven does not always arrive with trumpets and thunder. Sometimes it arrives like this, with a still heart, an open palm, and the quiet confidence that you are near. And so I will walk gently into this day, not driven by fear but led by faith, not racing ahead of grace but resting inside it, not striving to be noticed but surrendering to be known. And if I forget, as I sometimes do, remind me again. Whisper truth through the wind, through the words of a friend, through a scripture that glows when I least expect it. Let reminders find me when I am weary, reminders that I am chosen, that I am yours, that I am not forsaken. Let every breath I take be an act of worship. Let every step be a response to your mercy. Let every decision be a declaration that I trust you more than my fear, more than my plans, more than my doubts. This stillness is not empty. It is full of promises that cannot be revoked, full of love that will not run dry, full of peace that does not rely on circumstance. You are the God of abundance, and in this holy hush, you are pouring into me what the world cannot offer and time cannot steal. So I receive it all not with clenched fists, but with open hands. And I walk forward from this silence, not weaker but wiser, not shaken but steadied, not empty but filled with a grace that goes before me, and a peace that passes understanding. This is not the end of the prayer. It is the beginning of the living. The stillness speaks, and I am listening. The silence sings, and I am joining in. Lord, in the stillness of this morning, I return to you with a heart stretched between hope and hesitation, trusting that you are still writing the parts of my story I have not yet understood. As the soft light spills across my room and the world stirs quietly around me, I sense that you are speaking not in thunder, not in flashes, but in the gentleness of presence. You have never needed to shout to command the stars, and I know you do not need to shout to calm my restless thoughts either. It was in yesterday's ashish and today's stillness that I began to see the answers are not always loud, but they are always there when I lean in. Father, I come again with no demand, no polished prayer, only a soul that wants to understand what you are doing in the silence. I know now that silence is not absence, and waiting is not punishment. You are a God who moves in mysteries and makes beauty in patience. You let seasons unfold slowly because roots grow deeper when they are not rushed. So today, I do not ask you to speed up the process. I ask for the strength to stay present in it. Help me embrace the waiting as a sacred space where transformation happens, not just to my circumstances, but to my spirit. You are not a God who wastes time. Every delay is dressed in purpose, even when I cannot see the fabric of it. What seems like a pause to me might be the moment you are writing the most delicate detail of my destiny. And so, as I sit with my hands open before you, may I not fidget with doubt or entertain despair. Instead, may I notice how you are steadying my breath, quieting my fears, and tenderly inviting me to trust again. Waiting is not just enduring, it is worship. When I do it with you, God, I confess that my heart grows impatient, especially when I compare my path to others. It is so easy to believe you have forgotten me when I see doors opening elsewhere, answers falling for others like rain. But remind me that I only see their highlight reels, not their hidden hours of struggle. Teach me to stop measuring the pace of my progress by the speed of someone else's story. My walk with you is personal, intentional, handcrafted, and I am not behind. I am being prepared. Lord, I am learning that you do some of your best work in the dark, like a seed under soil, unseen by the world but full of potential. You are cultivating something deep in me. When I feel buried, remind me I have been planted, and what is planted in time will rise, not because it rushed, because it waited faithfully through what it could not explain. That is the miracle of slow beginnings. They yield the strongest blooms. Father, while I wait, soften the corners of my character. Teach me to choose kindness when frustration tempts me. Teach me to speak gently when silence stretches longer than I want. Teach me to be content in the questions and to rest in the mystery, what you are doing behind the veil. I do not need all the answers today. I only need enough peace to trust that you hold them. Whisper to my soul that nothing is wasted, not the detours, not the disappointments, not the dead ends. Everything is woven. Every thread is sacred. You are not slow as I count slowness. You are thorough, and I can feel you brushing off the dust from dreams I laid down, calling me to believe again, not in outcomes, but in you, the author, the finisher, the one who never starts a story without knowing how it will end. And because of that, I can breathe easier this morning. I can drink in the light without anxiety. I can unclench my jaw and unburden my steps. You are still in the room, and you are not done. So I rise into this new day not with a heart that demands, but with one that receives. I receive the slowness, the process, the sacred waiting. I receive the grace to live in the middle, to worship in the hallway, to believe when there is no evidence but your word. I receive the gift of the in-between and the quiet miracle of becoming. Thank you for not hurrying the parts of me you want to heal deeply. I know you are not just preparing things for me, you are preparing me for them. And that is love. Love that is not rushed. Love that does not skip steps. Love that is willing to linger, so I become strong enough to carry the blessing when it comes. God, as the whisper of yesterday's prayer still lingers in my soul, I come before you once again, not with rehearsed lines or heavy burdens, but with a heart wide open to the quiet working of your spirit. There is something about the morning light that reminds me of your gentleness, the way you do not rush the sun to rise, yet it always does, right on time. Just like that, you work in me, slowly, patiently, even when I am not paying attention. As I sit in this silence, I sense the continuation of the truth you have been unfolding, how breakthroughs are not always loud, not always sudden, but often come softly, like the dew that forms without a sound. Father, I do not want to miss the breakthrough simply because I am looking for something dramatic. I do not want to overlook your movement just because it does not match the version I had in mind. Teach me to see the sacred in the subtle. Teach me to find the extraordinary in the everyday, because the miracle is not always in the fire or the wind or the earthquake, but in the still small voice, the gentle nudge, the open door I did not notice at first. I need eyes that truly see and ears that truly hear, because I realize now that so often you speak, and I am too busy to recognize it. Lord, I have prayed for change. I have wept for answers. I have begged for signs, but perhaps the sign has already come. Perhaps the shift has already begun, and I am standing in the middle of something sacred and do not yet know it. Give me awareness, not just deliverance. Give me discernment, not just relief. Make me sensitive to the way you speak in moments that seem ordinary, how you use people I overlook, words I dismiss, and moments I rush through. I do not want to sleepwalk through the miracles you are crafting in front of me. God, You are not just preparing something for me, you are preparing me for it. That realization changes everything. While I was fixated on the destination, you were busy shaping the traveler. While I was asking for the mountain to move, you were training my legs to climb. While I wanted the storm to stop, you were anchoring my soul to withstand it. And now, as I begin to grasp that preparation is a form of love, I surrender not only the outcome, but the timing. I surrender not only the vision, but the process. I trust you with what I cannot see and release my obsession with control. Lord, I am tired of trying to be my own answer. I am weary from pretending I am strong enough without you. Breakthrough does not come from striving harder, it comes from abiding deeper. It comes when I stop clenching my fists and start opening my hands. It comes not in the moment I achieve, but in the moment I allow myself to be held. So hold me now. Wrap me in a grace I can't earn, a peace I can manufacture, a joy I do not understand. This is what I long for, not a perfect life, but a present God, not a painless path, but a faithful companion. Father, some parts of me are still afraid to hope. There are rooms in my heart I have locked because disappointment has visited too often. But I hear you knocking, not to scold, not to invade, but to heal. And if I let you in, you won't just rearrange the furniture. You will restore what was broken. You will repair what shame told me to hide. So today I invite you, fully, into every forgotten hallway and quiet corner. I do not want you to be a guest, I want you to dwell. I want you to take up residence in every thought, every fear, every desire. Make me a sanctuary for your presence, not just a vessel for your blessings. God, I want to pretend I understand all you are doing. I want to pretend I always feel strong or full of faith, but I bring what I have, this trembling trust, this mustard seed of hope, and I place it in your hands. Because your hands are steady when mine shake. Your promises are faithful when mine falter. And even when I cannot see the next step, you are already lighting the path. So I will walk forward, not because I am fearless, but because I am led, not because I am confident in myself, but because I am confident in you. Lord, renew my mind. I have allowed thoughts of defeat to take root. I have allowed lies to speak louder than truth, but I silence them now in your name. I cast down every imagination that exalts itself against your word. I choose to believe what you say, not what fear says. I choose to declare victory even when I feel surrounded. I choose to stand in the authority you have given me, not the insecurity I have nurtured. This battle is not mine, it belongs to you. And if it belongs to you, it is already won. Father, thank you for the battles I never saw, for the dangers you blocked, for the delays that were protection in disguise. Thank you for every moment you chose mercy over judgment. Every time you called me back when I wandered. Every tear you counted when I thought I was alone. Thank you for being a God who sees, not just sees the world, but sees me. Not just knows the universe, but knows my name. That alone is enough to keep me going. God, I know the world is loud, but help me not to let the noise shape my identity. Help me not to let culture define my worth, or comparison steal my peace. I want to live rooted in who you say I am. I want to walk not for applause, but with purpose. I want to rise each day not striving to be enough, but resting in the truth that I already am because you called me, chose me, and redeemed me. And if you did all that, then surely you will finish what you started. So Lord, I lift my eyes again not to the struggle, but to the source, not to what is missing, but to what is promised, not to my weakness, but to your strength made perfect in it. I lift my eyes, and I breathe again, and I dare to hope again, because you are not done, not with this day, not with my life, not with your plans. You are the God who finishes what you begin. And today, I believe something holy has already begun. God, as the dawn quietly spreads its light across the face of the earth, I rest in the awareness that you are still moving, still speaking, still orchestrating beauty in ways my heart can yet comprehend. The comfort that came in the silence of yesterday's surrender has not faded, but grown roots deeper into my soul, anchoring me in trust that you are not just beside me, but also ahead of me, preparing paths I cannot yet see. I find myself breathing slower this morning, not out of exhaustion, but out of reverence. There is a peace I cannot manufacture on my own, a peace that flows only from sitting still long enough to notice that you are already here. You remind me again that waiting is not wasted, that in the pause, you prepare. In the delay, you deepen. And when I stop wrestling for control, your presence becomes unmistakable. I no longer need to chase clarity if I have you. I no longer need to demand answers if I have your nearness. Let my heart learn to love mystery, not because it is easy, but because it teaches me to rely on your wisdom instead of my own understanding. In the quiet corners of this morning, I hear the questions that still echo from within, the fears that whisper whether I am enough, whether I have what it takes, whether I am too late or too broken to see your promises fulfilled. But you do not speak in condemnation. You respond with mercy. You steady me with grace. You do not ask for perfection, but surrender, not for endless striving, but trust. And I hear it again, the gentle reassurance that I am not behind. I am exactly where I need to be inside your will. So today, help me to move with intention, but without anxiety. Teach me to hold plans loosely and hold on to you tightly. If you close a door, may I not panic. If you change the direction, may I not resist. If you stay silent, may I still believe that you are present and working. The wind does not always announce where it is going, but it still moves things, and so do you. Invisibly, silently, but always with purpose. And Father, may I become someone who does not just seek you for answers, but seeks you for you. Let my prayers not be performances or desperate transactions, but tender conversations between a soul and its maker. When I speak, may it be honest. When I listen, may it be humble. And when I walk through this day, may my steps echo with gratitude instead of fear. Sometimes, the breakthrough is not something around me, but something within me, the shifting of my perspective, the loosening of bitterness, the rekindling of hope. Let this be such a morning, where the real miracle is not what changes outside, but what softens inside. My heart, once hardened by disappointment, becomes willing again, willing to try, to trust, to forgive, to begin again without cynicism. That alone is grace. That alone is evidence that you are not done with me yet. God, I open every room of my heart to you today. Even the places I have kept locked in shame. Even the wounds I have convinced myself are beyond healing. Come in, not as a judge, but as a healer. Reclaim the parts of me that have long been ruled by fear. Restore joy where sorrow became a squatter. Replace anxiety with the calm that only you can give. I do not need a quick fix. I need a holy transformation, and I know you are able. Lead me today not by the loudness of urgency, but by the stillness of your voice. Let me discern what truly matters. Not everything that screams for my attention deserves it. Not every door is meant to be walked through. Help me to distinguish between opportunities and distractions, between assignments from you and temptations away from you. Fill me with wisdom that is not born from pride, but from reverence. And Lord, when I encounter others today, let me be more present than hurried. Let my eyes see beyond appearances and into hearts. Let my words be slow to speak and quick to uplift. Let my presence be a reflection of yours, a place where people feel safe, seen, and reminded that they are not alone. I do not need to be impressive. I need to be faithful. If I stumble today, remind me that grace still stands. If I am misunderstood, remind me that you know my heart. If I feel forgotten, remind me that you never lose sight of your children. And if I grow weary, remind me that I was never asked to carry everything alone. The strength I need for this day does not come from me, but from you. So, with open hands and a surrendered spirit, I step into what lies ahead, not because I know what will happen, but because I know who goes with me. And that is more than enough. Father, as the light begins to filter through the edges of my reality, I continue to rest in the echoes of your voice, still resonating from the gentle hush of yesterday's grace. You have never stopped speaking, even in the stillness, even in the silences that once made me question if you still walked beside me. But now, in the quiet rhythm of each breath, I sense your nearness like a warm mantle draped across my shoulders, steadying my weary heart for another day. And as I reflect on the paths we have just walked together, I find myself yearning not only for answers, but for the assurance that you are in every unanswered prayer, every moment not yet fulfilled, every dream still held in waiting. Lord, you do not rush the unfolding. You do not force the flower to bloom before its time. So why should I? Let this day be one where I lean into your timing, not my own agenda. Let me not strive for what is beyond my reach today, but instead rest in the provision of what you have already placed in my hands. Too often I have looked ahead, fearing what I cannot yet see, forgetting that you are already there, ahead of me, behind me, within me. You stretch across the distance of my doubt, and yet still choose to dwell here, in the intimate quiet of my now. God, remind me that your strength is not only for the mountaintops, but for the low, narrow valleys that stretch long and silent. Remind me that you are just as present in the mundane routines as you are in the miraculous breakthroughs. There is a certain hollowness, Lord, in the unseen moments, the way you shape my spirit through quiet obedience. I have longed for sudden wonders, but today I ask for the wonder of steadfast faith. Let me not miss the beauty of consistency, the blessing of endurance, the gift of a heart that refuses to give up even when the scenery has not changed. May I become more attuned to your whisper than the world's roar. Let my soul hunger more for your truth than for temporary relief. You are not a distant rescuer swooping in at the last minute. You are the God who walks every step of the waiting with me. So, Father, teach me the wisdom of stillness. Teach me to be okay with not knowing every detail. Your mystery is not a barrier, it is an invitation to trust beyond logic, to believe beyond experience, to hope beyond what my eyes can see. You do not owe me explanations. You offer me presence. And that, Lord, is the deepest miracle of all. I do not have to understand everything to be safe in your hands. My security is not in clarity, but in you. Let that be the foundation I build upon when storms rise, when plans crumble, when doors close without warning. Even in uncertainty, you give me enough light to take the next step, enough grace to forgive again, enough courage to face what feels impossible, enough peace to quiet my anxious thoughts. Let me measure today not by accomplishments or control, but by closeness to you. If I can feel your breath in my lungs, then I have not lost. If I can hear your name in my silence, then I am not abandoned. If I can lift my hands in surrender, then I am already held. God, I confess how often I mistake comfort for confirmation and delay for denial. But you are not slow. You are deliberate. You are weaving a story that I do not yet see in full. Let me not interrupt it with impatience. Let me not rewrite what you are carefully composing in divine order. I surrender the pen. I release the timeline. I return again to this sacred pause where transformation begins, not in action, but in agreement, not in striving, but in trust, not in power, but in yieldedness. And when fear rises again, and it will help me to remember that fear is not my final word. You are. Your voice cuts through the chaos with peace, not the peace that ignores pain, but the peace that exists in spite of it. The peace that knows you have already gone before me, preparing every room I will walk into, every decision I will make, every outcome I will face. I do not have to be afraid of tomorrow if I am fully present with you today. Let me stop running from the unknown and start walking beside the known. So here I am, Father, with hands unclenched, with heart laid bare, with spirit awake. I will not rush past this moment. I will not treat your presence as background noise. I will sit with you in the stillness. I will listen not just with ears, but with soul. And when the day unfolds with its demands and distractions, I will carry this stillness with me not as escape, but as anchor. For I know now that every moment becomes holy when you are in it, and you are in it all. Lord, as the first hues of dawn quietly unfold beyond the horizon, my heart returns to you in stillness and need. I come not to ask for anything new, but to continue this journey we have been walking together, to deepen the awareness of your presence that carried me through yesterday. I can feel the echo of your voice from the moments just past, how you whispered comfort into my night outs and grace into places where I felt lacking. And now, Father, as this day begins to stretch its arms open before me, I do not wish to move without anchoring again in you. There is something sacred in this hour, when the world has not yet rushed in. When my thoughts are soft enough to hear your truth, I sit here with the H of my questions, the ones I dared not speak aloud before. I carry the weight of things unresolved, emotions still raw, and dreams I am afraid to hope for again. And yet, Lord, you meet me without condition. You are not impatient with my pace. You do not measure my worth by my victories. Instead, you bend near with eyes full of understanding, calling me beloved even in my brokenness. I offer you the things I tried to control, the outcomes I tried to manufacture in my own strength. I see now how deeply I feared surrender, not because I doubted you, but because I did not know how to release the grip I had on my own will. But here in this quiet light, I trust you again. I trust that your timing is more merciful than my planning, that your ways, though unfamiliar, are always carved by love. I do not need to know the next step if you are already standing in it. You have taught me to find holy ground in ordinary places. The kitchen table, the morning traffic, the silent tears in a shower stall, the awkward laughter between friends. You are not distant, Lord. You are in the texture of my every moment, waiting to be noticed, waiting to transform the mundane into miracle. And so I open my eyes wider today, not just to see, but to behold. Help me not to rush past the subtle glory of now. Thank you for being patient with the parts of me that still resist healing. Thank you for not condemning my confusion, but instead sitting beside it until it softens. Thank you for being the kind of God who does not demand perfection before offering presence. I am learning to walk with you, not toward some finish line of hollowness, but into the ever-deepening rhythm of abiding. There is peace here, Lord, even when the world around me spins fast and loud. I ask not for a perfect day, but for a day marked by awareness, that I may notice when fear tries to wear the mask of control, that I may hear the sound of envy before it settles in my spirit, that I may gently choose kindness, not because it is easy, but because it reflects you. Let my choices today be shaped not by urgency, but by grace. Let me respond more than react. Let me listen more than defend. Let me bless more than I strive to be seen. Where my strength feels fragile, infuse me with quiet courage. Where my path feels lonely, remind me I am not alone. Where my love feels limited, pour yours into the empty spaces. Use me today to bring healing in ways I may never fully realize. Let my presence offer safety, my silence offer comfort, and my words echo the truth that everyone deserves to be seen with dignity. Let my faith, even when trembling, be a beacon for someone else's darkness. And when the voices of doubt grow loud again, when the day's demands try to bury the tenderness of this moment, call me back. Call me with the wind in the trees, with the sudden stillness in my chest, with a memory of peace I cannot explain. Teach me to return again and again to this place of sacred leaning, because I know you are not only the God of my mountaintops, but the God who walks with me through valley shadows and long waits. I lift those I love into your hands now, not with desperation, but with deep trust. You see them, you hold them, even when I cannot understand their pain or protect them from it. Teach me to love them without needing to fix them. Teach me to pray without needing to see results. Let me rest in the knowing that your work in their lives is better than any rescue I could orchestrate. And Father, for the places in me still waiting for breakthrough, remind me that waiting is not wasting, that delay is not denial, that some of your greatest miracles grow slowly, in silence, in soil. Let me not rush the unfolding. Let me be a witness to the beauty of process, of faith blooming in the dark, of roots growing deep before the blossom breaks through. In the quiet of this hour, I know that you are here, and that is enough. The day will bring its chaos, but I will carry this stillness within me. This altar of first light, where my soul met you in vulnerability and was not turned away. You have made room for me again, and in return, I make room for you in my mind, my decisions, my relationships, my hopes, my disappointments. Come fill the spaces I have cleared and dwell there. Even if everything else today feels unsure, let this remain steady. You are good. You are near. You are for me, and I am yours. Father, you remain the constant thread weaving through the tapestry of my days, the one who never changes even when everything else feels uncertain. As I continue in this sacred rhythm of morning surrender, I sense how each breath I take is a soft whisper of your grace. The quietness left behind by yesterday as battles still echoes, but your presence gently hushes those sounds and invites me again into the stillness of trust. My heart leans into you not out of habit, but out of a growing awareness that without your nearness, I am merely a shadow of who I am meant to be. Even as my eyes open and the sky begins to pale with morning light, I realize that peace does not come from the absence of trouble, but from the presence of your Spirit within me. Lord, help me to not just recognize this truth, but to live it. Let it become the ground beneath my feet when I am tempted to stumble in fear. Teach me that I do not have to be fearless to be faithful. I only have to be willing to trust you even when I cannot trace you, to say yes even when the road ahead looks uncertain. Today, awaken in me a deeper dependence on your wisdom. Let it replace my limited understanding and my rushed decisions. Slow me down enough to listen, not just to hear, but to listen with the ears of my heart, to the voice that often speaks not in thunder, but in whisper. Remind me that divine instruction does not always arrive with fanfare. Sometimes it comes in silence, in the pause before I speak, in the moment I choose gentleness over retaliation, grace over defense. God, refine my perception. Help me to see beyond the obvious. Teach me to recognize divine appointments disguised as inconveniences and to find purpose in the interruptions. When someone crosses my path who seems difficult or draining, remind me that they, too, are a reflection of your image, perhaps chipped and smudged, but still held in your hands. Give me a heart that responds with patience instead of pride, with compassion instead of calculation. You have not called me to survive the day. I hear that so clearly now, but to live it with holy intention. Let my words be seeds and not stones. Let my silence be filled with understanding and not indifference. Help me to walk slowly enough to feel the ground, to notice the people, to hear your voice nudging me toward what truly matters. When I look at the tasks ahead, the ones that feel thankless or heavy, help me remember that nothing done in love is ever wasted, even if no one sees it, even if no one claps. You see, you smile. That is enough. Let me carry that assurance like a banner over my day. I am seen. I am known. I am enough in you. Lord, infuse my conversations with grace. Make my presence one that invites peace and not pressure. Let the people I encounter today leave feeling lighter, not heavier. Not because I have all the right words, but because your spirit flows through the spaces between my words, healing, softening, drawing hearts to something deeper. If I must speak correction, let it be with kindness. If I must make hard decisions, let them be rooted in wisdom, not weariness. If I must let go of something or someone, let me release with open hands, trusting that you are the keeper of all things surrendered. As the day unfolds, let me not measure its worth by productivity, but by your presence with me, and my presence with others. Dante, let me hurry past the sacred in pursuit of the urgent. Remind me again that you never asked me to be everything for everyone. You simply asked me to be faithful where I stand, with what I have, in this moment. God, stir my soul to joy that is not circumstantial, but rooted in the unshakable truth of who you are. Let laughter rise unbidden. Let gratitude grow wild and free in the soil of my heart. Let me celebrate even the small, quiet miracles, a soft breeze, a kind word, a breath drawn deep, the way the light moves across a room. These are your signatures written into my ordinary. May I honor them. May I honor you. Let this be a day where heaven touches earth through a life that remains yielded, soft, and fully awake to the sacredness of now. Lord, as the morning unfolds its quiet beauty once more, I return to you not just out of need, but out of longing, a longing that rises from somewhere deeper than words, deeper than reason. It is a holy hunger, not for answers or ease, but for more of you. The more I walk with you, the more I realize that nothing else satisfies like your nearness. Not resolution, not recognition, just the steady, whispering comfort of knowing you are here and will not leave. The gentle weight of your presence lingers from yesterday, and yet even that sweetness leaves me craving the fresh filling of today. For your mercies, though never exhausted, arrive new with each dawn, and I welcome them now, not as a desperate beggar, but as a child who knows her place in her Father's arms. God, I am learning that surrender is not weakness, it is worship. It is me saying, once again, I trust you more than I trust my plans. So I give you this day with all its unknowns, its rhythms yet unraveled, its demands not yet spoken. I place it into the hands that shape the mountains and still cradle my fragile heart. Help me walk through these hours not with clenched fists, but with open hands, ready to give, ready to receive, ready to let go when you say release, and ready to grasp tightly when you say hold on. Let my spirit stay soft today. Not naive, not passive, but soft like fertile soil open to receive the seeds you are planting, willing to be tilled if needed, expectant of growth I may not even see yet. If I am to be stretched, let it be toward love. If I am to be challenged, let it be by truth. If I am to be broken, let it be for the sake of something more eternal than comfort. Father, guard me from cynicism disguised as wisdom, from control disguised as responsibility, from business disguised as purpose. Let my discernment sharpen, not through suspicion, but through stillness with you. Show me where my energy is best poured, not into every loud demand, but into the quiet assignments you whisper just for me. Teach me to recognize the divine fingerprints in the mundane moments, the holy hush in the middle of traffic, dishes, emails, or silence. Let me not chase impact, let me choose intimacy. Let me not pursue applause, let me seek alignment. And when my heart is tempted to prove itself, remind me that you were already pleased before I performed a single thing. That you looked at me in the beginning and called me good, not because of what I would do, but because I came from you. Let that truth silence the voices that demand I be more. Do more. Earn more. God, breathe on the dry places of my soul, where discouragement has lingered too long like a fog. Let the warmth of your joy burn through, where disappointment has rooted itself, thinking it belongs. Pull it up by the root and replant hope. Not wishful thinking, but hope anchored in your goodness. Your promises, your unchanging heart. When I am tempted to make sense of what feels senseless, teach me to trust what I cannot see, to lean not on my understanding, but to lean fully into you. There are people I carry with me into this prayer. Father, those who weigh on my spirit even as I whisper their names in silence. For the ones who feel unseen, wrap them in your presence until they remember their worth. For the ones who feel exhausted, be the breath in their lungs again. For the ones who feel forgotten, send a reminder, even through me, that they are deeply loved. Use my words today to heal, not to harm. Use my hands to lift, not to push down. Use my life to reflect a light that does not point to me, but always back to you. Let love not just be what I receive from you, but what I release from within. A love that listens. A love that does not need to fix everything. A love that holds space for pain without trying to rush it away. A love that remembers we are all just trying to make it home. And sometimes the most spiritual thing I can do is just be kind. God, let this be a day where I am fully awake to your beauty, awake to my purpose, awake to the sacredness of every breath. Let it be a day marked not by perfection, but by presence, not by achievement, but by authenticity, not by how much I did, but by how deeply I lived. And if I falter, which I might if I speak harshly, if I forget gratitude, if I lose my way even for a moment, draw me back gently, as you always do, with love that never shames, never scolds, only invites. Let this day be yours, let this heart be yours, and let the unfolding of each hour become a living hallelujah that rises not from a stage, but from the quiet, holy ground of everyday life. Lord, as I breathe in this final moment of stillness, I realize how every word spoken in the quiet mornings before now has led to this space of peace. There has been a rhythm, a gentle unfolding, as if each chapter of prayer was a step through a sacred garden. And here, with the path bathed in morning gold, my heart simply slows to listen, not to conclude, but to continue in quieter ways. The echoes of your promises ring louder than my fears. In this stillness, I see how you were always near. Every scar has been kissed by grace. I have learned to walk softer, to forgive quicker, to love deeper. Here, with the breeze lifting the corners of doubt, I find calm. The darkness that once felt endless is no match for your light. The echoes of your promises ring louder than my fears. This prayer may pause, but the communion will never cease. The burdens that once weighed heavy have grown lighter in your nearness. The darkness that once felt endless is no match for your light. What once felt like endings now bloom into beginnings. I am learning to rest, to lean, to let you lead. Here, with the breeze lifting the corners of doubt, I find calm. There are no more questions now, only quiet trust and steady breath. You are not just in the miracles, but in the ordinary moments too. Every scar has been kissed by grace. I release the need to rush, to prove, to strive. This prayer may pause, but the communion will never cease. I am learning to rest, to lean, to let you lead. The darkness that once felt endless is no match for your light. I am learning to rest, to lean, to let you lead. Each breath is a quiet surrender to love. In this stillness, I see how you were always near. Here, with the breeze lifting the corners of doubt, I find calm. I release the need to rush, to prove, to strive. There is no fear in the center of your will. What once felt like endings now bloom into beginnings. This prayer may pause, but the communion will never cease. This prayer may pause, but the communion will never cease. You hold even the unseen pieces of my story. What once felt like endings now bloom into beginnings. The darkness that once felt endless is no match for your light. In this stillness, I see how you were always near. Every scar has been kissed by grace. Your mercy wraps around my soul like a river winding through ancient valleys. The echoes of your promises ring louder than my fears. I release the need to rush, to prove, to strive. You are not just in the miracles, but in the ordinary moments too. What once felt like endings now bloom into beginnings. Here, with the breeze lifting the corners of doubt, I find calm. And now, as morning stretches its fingers across the sky and light spills gently across the earth, I sit in quiet trust. Not everything is known, not everything is fixed, but there is a peace that surpasses understanding. It dances on the edge of every leaf and rides the hush of every breeze. Thank you for walking this journey. If this prayer has met you in your valley or on your mountaintop, share your heart below. Subscribe to stay near to this growing circle of faith. Pass this light to someone else. Keep believing. Keep breathing. Keep returning to the source, like the morning sun rising once more. Hope remains.